Hey. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Parker Gray, and I am the Adult Services Librarian at the Fredericksburg branch. And today we have Kathy Butler. She's the Executive Director of the Girls on the Run Piedmont, and she'll be talking to you today about her organization. Kathy?
Thank you, Sarah. So good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm really excited. My name is Kathy Butler, and I'm the Executive Director of Girls on the Run Piedmont. Today, we're going to talk about something that's become impossible to ignore, the mental and emotional well-being of our girls. The data is clear. Anxiety, depression, loneliness, self-doubt, they're all rising and rising really early. But this isn't a hopeless story, because when we invest in our girls early, we can give them tools, connection, and confidence, and everything can change. At Girls on the Run, we inspire girls to be joyful, healthy, and confident. We want every girl to know and activate her limitless potential and boldly pursue her dreams. Okay. So before we dive into the data and impact, I want to share who we are and why we do this. So Girls on the Run Piedmont is a local council of Girls on the Run International. Our council was founded in 2013 with just a handful of girls in Fauquier County. Over the years, we have grown to serve 7 counties that you see listed here, and we have served well over 2,000 girls since we started in 2013. We have done this with an army of volunteers, and we now host one of the area's largest 5K events. So we're not a sports program. We're not a counseling program. We're kind of both, and we're kind of more. Girls on the Run sits at the intersection of physical health, mental health, and community connection. Our program is typically held after school by trained volunteer coaches with small teams of 8 to 16 girls. These life skills that we teach these girls help prevent unhealthy and risky behaviors, such as physical and help with physical inactivity, deal with negative body image, promote positive health outcomes. And one would think I'd be less nervous talking about this, right? So Girls on the Run is not a one-size-fits-all program. We offer multiple different programs. So we have our Girls on the Run program, which is our flagship program for grades 3 through 5. And this can be offered before or after school. Then we have our Heart and Soul program, which is for our middle school girls, soul, S-O-L-E, like the sole of your shoe. And then we have Camp, G-O-T-R, Camp Goater, which is for our rising 3rd through 6th graders. And that's a week-long deep dive that's typically offered over summer break, winter break, spring break. The other programs, Girls on the Run and Heart and Soul, are both 10-week programs. They're usually held in the fall, right after Labor Day, until the first part of November, and in the spring, from about Valentine's Day to the first part of May. So now that you've got a little bit of background on our organization, I'd like to focus on the heart of the presentation, which is the state of our girls. While many girls are thriving, unfortunately, many are not for various reasons. Today, we're going to talk about the challenges that girls are facing and how our program is meeting the needs of today's girls. To understand the state of the girl, we're going to explore data from various national surveys designed to understand experiences and well-being of girls in elementary through high school. While we want to address the immediate needs of our participants, we're also preparing them for adolescence and beyond. I could share hundreds of data points, but they would be pretty boring, so I've narrowed down to a few of the most relevant trends. Let's ground ourselves with a high-level snapshot of our girls. There are more than 12 million girls in the U.S. aged between 8 and 13, and they make up about 49% of the overall youth population. They're a part of Generation Alpha. Nearly half identify as Black, Hispanic, or Asian. Almost 5% have a disability, and sadly, more than 12% live in poverty. The girls our organization has the potential to serve has become increasingly diverse over time. We will primarily examined the overall trends for our girls, but we know there is so much more to learn as we dig deeper. We'll start by discussing girls' confidence levels. We can think about confidence in several different ways, such as general feelings of self-worth or confidence in one's ability to do something. Confident girls are more likely to try new things. They're more likely to speak up in class. They're more likely to speak up for themselves and stand up for their friends. We know that confident girls will change the world. So what is the state of our girls' confidence, and how has that changed? One way we measure someone's confidence is to ask them how satisfied they are with themselves. This graph shows the response to that question for a national sample of 8th, 10th, and 12th graders over the last 20 years. The pink bracket highlights the difference between the boys and the girls, with the girls reporting significantly less satisfaction with themselves than boys. We also see that this change has happened over time, and we can see that both are dropping for both the boys and girls. A similar trend was found when we surveyed 5th and 6th graders, that the confidence has decreased. In 2017, only 86% of 5th graders described themselves as confident, but in 2023, that number was only 68%. What does that mean? That means there's about 2 million girls in the US, and that means that 360,000 fewer 5th graders are confident in themselves now than they were in 2017. With us in a school with example of 120 girls, that's more than 20 girls that don't feel confident in themselves. So there is a connection about girls' confidence and how they feel about their body. So there's a lot of pressure on girls to be pretty. And girls report that they feel under pressure to be pretty. As you can, oh, there you go. Thank you. Inspiring confidence is at the heart of what we try to do. So I've seen girls build a tremendous amount of confidence over the course of the program. One of the ways we do that is they're preparing for a 5K event. Now at our 5K, they don't have to run. They don't have to be fast. We actually don't time our events on purpose because we want them to set and achieve their own goal, whether that is just to finish it or to run the whole thing or walk at a pace. But at 9 years old, going 3 miles might as well be a million miles. It's impossible. They can't even fathom it. So as they cross that finish line, they realize that they can do hard things, and that translates to confidence. So we did a survey of girls after the program. So before the program, girls that described themselves as confident, and girls before and after the program. So 88% before said they felt confident or described their child as confident. And afterwards, parents reported that their child was 97% more confident. So we covered confidence and how that plays into one's mental health. But in 1999, the Surgeon General's report on mental health described mental health as the springboard of thinking and communication skills, learning, emotional growth, and self-esteem. What does that mean? As this graph shows, the percentage of 9th through 12th grade students who experience persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness during the past year has increased significantly. 3 in 5 girls felt persistently sad or hopeless, and that's a 60% increase since 2011. The graph shows that the percentage of 5th to 12th graders who were sad or depressed at least 4 days a week has increased. The data is broken out by grade, as you can see across the bottom, and then by year, with green representing 2017 and pink representing 2023. And as we all know, our children have all faced a collective trauma with the pandemic a few years ago. And most of these children in our target age group were very young when that happened, 4 and 5, trying to navigate that. We're also seeing the greatest increase for girls in 5th grade with reports of sadness and depression tripling. If we consider that we have 2 million 5th graders in the US, this equates to almost 500,000 5th graders that are depressed. And we see a similar trend for anxiety. The percentage of parents who reported that their child seemed anxious, nervous, or worried increased at least monthly. This was seen for both 8 to 11-year-olds and our 12 to 17-year-olds. Given the data on youth mental health, it's not surprising that the Pew Research study found that mental health was at the top of the list of parental concerns. And 40% of parents are saying that they are worried about their child and their struggles with anxiety. Now, all the data is kind of boring and it's kind of hard to get through, but the quote girls kind of say it for themselves. 79% say they feel like they're going to explode because of the pressure. 89% feel like they're under pressure to fit into a specific role. After seeing the sobering stats from the national level, let's take a look at the numbers a little closer to home. Virginia ranks 48th in the nation for youth access to mental health services. Immediate action is required to provide adequate care and support for our youth to thrive mentally and emotionally. Girls on the Run programs are designed to build self-esteem and emotional resilience among our young girls, directly addressing the mental health crisis highlighted above. By integrating physical activity with lessons on empowerment, team building, and self-respect, Girls on the Run provides a preventative approach to mental health challenges. Participants in Girls on the Run show significant improvements in self-confidence and body image. Our program is intentionally designed to support positive mental health outcomes. It includes specific lessons on understanding emotions, accepting emotions, using emotional regulation tools. Pictured here is one of the tools, the 5-finger breathing technique. We also integrate physical activity into each lesson and help girls understand that movement also helps with emotional regulation. With the guidance and the patience of trained coaches, we know consistent, caring adults show up, take interest, and hold a team together, and they can transform a girl's life. While we do not explicitly measure outcomes related to mental health, we do know that girls are learning coping skills and that the research shows that these contribute to positive mental health outcomes. So 92% of girls said they learned things at Girls on the Run to help them deal with strong emotions. And 86% of caregivers agreed that Girls on the Run helped their child gain skills to handle stress. And I do love that quote. It's okay not to be perfect at everything, but to be myself, and I can always do my best. When we talk about coping skills, we cannot neglect the impact of physical inactivity on mental health. Less than 24% of children ages 6 to 17 participate in 60 minutes of daily activity. So girls who are physically active are 40% less likely to suffer from depressive symptoms. The U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy reinforced this connection as he mentioned Girls on the Run is the only program in his report. So when girls move, their brains light up. If you notice, I'm kind of wiggling in my chair. That's me thinking and trying to keep this presentation moving, right? So endorphins are released, stress is reduced, your focus is improved when you're moving. Physical activity is the most underutilized tool when dealing with youth mental health. I'm a big proponent of taking the kids out for a little run or a little walk to kind of get their blood flowing and kind of lighten the mood. So fewer than 1 in 4 children are getting the recommended amount of exercise. We know that. It's even more true for girls. As soon as they hit that 9 or 10 age range, they start to, worry about how they look. They don't want to be sweaty. They don't want to make their face red. So they're less likely to get activity. 92% of girls after doing Girls on the Run say they enjoy physical activity, that they've learned some tools to make it less stressful. We're not just teaching them to run, we're teaching them to fall in love with moving their bodies and the way it feels joyful and empowering. For my runners out there, for a fact, when you go out and run with a friend, you build a bigger bond with them, that you say things on the run that you might not say just over a dinner table. So running helps those girls bond with each other and their coaches. In our longitudinal study, girls who were the least active in the beginning of the season increased their activity level by more than 40% by the end of the season. So let's pause and think about what it's like to be a 10-year-old girl today, trying to figure out who you are, all while plugged in to the digital world every single waking hour. They're saying that girls are using YouTube and screen time and Facebook, more than 6+ hours a day. So, I mean, they're getting this distorted view of reality. It's shaping who they are, trying to live up to the expectations of these fake personalities that they're seeing. Even when they're offline, their mind is still online. That was the big proponent of taking cell phones out of the classrooms, is that even though the phone might be in a backpack, they're still thinking about what's happening on social media. Research shows a strong correlation of screen time increases, so does the risk of anxiety and depression. No, you're fine. I like to talk about this. So 36% of girls ages 6 to 17 were bullied in 2021. 67% say that most girls compete with each other. Only 55% of 3rd through 5th graders feel like they have an adult at school that they can talk to. So these stats are powerful, and they paint a picture. Our girls are growing up in a pressure cooker at a time when they should be building friendships, self-confidence, and self-understanding. Many are feeling left out, judged, or just plain invisible. Virginia is facing a youth mental health crisis, and yet many of the tools that we need are right in front of us. Girls on the Run is one of them. Virginia ranks 48th in access to youth mental health care. Out of all 50 states, we're near the bottom. This means long wait lists, overworked school counselors, families unable to find support. Prevention is no longer optional, it's critical. We reach girls at 8, 9, 10 years old before there's a crisis. Instead of waiting until they're struggling, we equip them with tools for emotional regulation, self-worth, and healthy relationships right from the start. Most schools in Virginia don't have enough resources for even the baseline level of mental health support. Girls on the Run can act as a tier 1 support intervention. We're accessible, we're universal, and protective for girls, not just ones with a diagnosis. Girls don't need a label to participate. There's no stigma, no red tape, just an invitation to belong, to grow, to thrive. And that's going to free up our counselors for more critical cases. So we've seen the need, we've seen the impact. So why support Girls on the Run? Because it works, because it lasts. Mental health challenges are rising fast, especially among our girls. Girls on the Run steps in early, at the prevention level, before symptoms escalate, before confidence crumbles. We serve every girl. There's no tryouts, there's no judgment, no experience needed. Whether she's athletic, shy, struggling, or thriving, she belongs here. We have a pay what you can model, community partnerships, and we make sure cost is never a barrier. We try to meet girls and families right where they are without any stigma. 95% of participants say they feel more confident because of Girls on the Run. We're not just changing moods, we're changing their mindset. We're teaching them to look intentionally at, what they see on YouTube. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it realistic? When a girl learns to say that I can, she's going to carry that into every part of her life. I can run a 5K. I can pass my spelling test. I can graduate high school. I can go to college. I can be a doctor. I can change the world. Founded in 2013, we've already served over 2,000 girls across the 7 Virginia counties. We're fueled entirely by volunteers. These volunteers are educators, parents, members of the community. So let's take a moment and imagine the possibility. What if every girl had access to this kind of support? When girls feel confident, connected, and emotionally safe, they show up differently. They're lead learners, they're leaders, they're better classmates. Schools benefit. There's better behavior, more engagement, less disruptions. Girls on the Run helps create a school culture rooted in empathy and belonging. Girls bring the Girls on the Run lessons home on boundary setting, communication, emotional awareness. Caregivers report telling us that their girls are teaching them the tools on how to manage their emotions, how to resolve conflict, and how to choose kindness. There was a great story of a parent who was having issues between siblings. The girl was having trouble with her little brother, and they were picking at each other. And the dad's like, I don't even know what to do. And the little girl thought about it for a moment, and she's like, I know exactly what to do. And she went and she had a talk with her little brother, and she used the I feel when you, because I would like you to. And they talked through it, and they both realized that they had some common ground on sharing the iPad that was the object in question that they were fighting about. So kind of a cute story there. Girls on the Run alumni say they still remember the lessons years later. Every time a girl crosses the finish line, something shifts in her. She realizes that if I can do this, maybe I can do that too. That's not just a fun run. That's a life turning point. So this is so much more than about running. This is the I did it moment, like the picture of the little girl here. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me and dealing with some stats and stuff that might be not so fun, but hopefully you can get the gist of it. I would love to talk more with you about Girls on the Run and get everybody involved. If you have questions after today or ideas or connections, I'd love to hear from you. This is my phone number, our website, and we are on social media at GOTR Piedmont on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I invite you to follow us, share stories. I'd be grateful to if you'd share it with someone else as well, because when a girl realizes she's strong, she doesn't just change her story, she changes ours. Thank you.
All right, Kathy, thank you for telling us more about Girls on the Run. And looks like it's a successful organization. And I guess my question for you is, so when the girls get together to run, do they run on a track, or is it outside or inside?
So that's a great question. So when we get together, we prefer to be outside. It's great to have girls outside in nature, but we can work with what we're given. We integrate the running in with the lesson. So it really is going to depend. We don't need a track. Sometimes we do bus loops or parking lots or soccer fields or whatever we have available, but we integrate the lesson of the day in with the labs. For example, we had a lesson on friendship, and for every lap, the girls would come back and write on a poster board something that either boosted a friendship, something that tested a friendship, or something that broke a friendship. So at the end of practice, they were processing that moment and looking at the different things and realizing that if you didn't save me a seat at the lunch table, I might say, we're done. We're not friends anymore. But you might just say, oh, maybe she's having a bad day and we'll see how this goes. It's just a test. And realizing that empathy component, that we all kind of view situations differently, and to be mindful about that.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for answering my question. And thank you so much for doing this presentation, and for working with the library.
It is my pleasure. I'm sorry. It's the first time I've kind of done a StreamYard kind of presentation. Usually it's, dealing with people one-on-one where you can kind of read the crowd and kind of pick and choose your story. So this was a great learning experience, though. I loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a little different. So, but thank you very much. So I'm going to end the recording now.
Perfect.